نبينا محمد عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. آمين. We continue inshallah today, last 2 days of Ramadan, and we continue with the verses that we were talking. Can you hear me? Is that okay? You can hear me. You should be able to hear me right here. But maybe people in the back, can you hear me? Our brother here is reminding us, inshallah, as we step out, inshallah, if we can decrease the volume a little bit so that we can, inshallah, for those who are staying, can hear what's being said, inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Inshallah, we continue on with the verses that we have for this great month of Ramadan. I always like to remind you, it's like big concepts or major concepts, foundational concepts that we're looking at. And today is one of these most beautiful concepts that our deen as a whole is built on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, as a matter of fact, these verses, or this part of the verse, comes with regards to this great month of Ramadan, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرِ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for you, that means you all here, that means you and I, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for each and every one of us ease. وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرِ. And Allah does not want any of us here to be faced with hardship. This verse, or this part of the verse, this comes from a longer verse that starts with what? Anyone knows? Okay. شهر رمضان. Starts with direct, subhanAllah, says شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. The verse that comes before it talks about Siyam. Then this one talks about شهر Ramadan, and then the verses go and says, okay, then we have whoever fasts, whoever witnesses this month, or whoever knows about this, the entrance of the month, let them fast, and then Allah gives an exception. So let them fast, says, but those who are sick, those who are traveling, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for them afterwards, and then they can make it up. So you don't have to fast while you're doing this. But this part of the verse, as we said, this is not just it's not just only related to fasting. This is a fundamental or foundational concept of our whole religion. The whole Islam is based on the concept of taysir. There's yusr, there is ease in things. And this is one of them that is clear. The verse said it talks about fasting, and then gives us an exception for those who are traveling and those who are sick. But let me ask you a question, and this is the foundational aspect here. Sometimes, when we hear the word yusr, ease, people can relate that to, how do I say it? There's no action. So let me take this again, maybe a foundational thing here. We take a step back. In these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts talking about siyam, fasting. Is fasting in it of itself, there is zero hardship in it? You're all fasting. You can tell me, I'm listening. No, there is hardship, right? So how come that there is hardship in it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He wants ease for you? Why? Because we need to understand what it means to have this ease. Ease does not mean no action. Ease does not mean we're sitting there and just like chilling and having a good time. And you can think about it as such. I said, if I have any of you here, mashallah, again, anyone who's earning a living, right? Say, you know what, this work is hard. Any kind of type of work that you do, just waking up in the morning and just going to your work, it's hard. How about you stay at home and just chill, do nothing? If I tell you that, everyone is looking at me like, brother, you have no idea what you're talking about. Why? Because you and I understand conceptually that if I sit down at home and do nothing, the consequences of this are far greater than my effort that I'm putting. So when I put some effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me this rizq from Him, His sustenance from Him. This effort is, even though there's a little bit of hardship in it, or even a higher hardship, but it's much more important, or this hardship is more important to put it in than the consequences of not doing anything. If I sit down at home, I'm going to get starved, I'm going to get kicked out of my house. So I'm willing to do this action, even though
there is a level of hardship in it. But because the option other than that might have far dire more consequences than this. So what does Allah want from us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through this revelation, everything that He made for us, made it the easiest way. I'll give another example. If I'm telling you you're going to travel from point A to point B, from here to Philly, okay? And there are 3 different routes. One of them is like 10 hours. One of them is 2 hours. And one of them is 5 hours. Just to make it extremely simple, the fastest route, the easiest route, maybe let's say the 2 hours route, this is Sharia. You still have to travel. You still have to go from point A to point B. But Allah made it so simple for us. He said, this is the easiest route. Just take the easiest route. So when we follow the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if we're taking what? The shortest route. There's still somewhat hardship. You still have to put some effort. Why? Just to let you know as well. I have some good news or bad news. I don't know. It's up to you how you're going to see it. The fact of the matter that we're living in this dunya, by definition, and this is the news, by definition, it's not meant to be easy. By definition, it's not meant to be perfect. As a matter of fact, if it became perfect, you and I might want to stay here and miss out on the big reward afterwards. So by definition, Allah has created it as an abode of test, of trial. By definition. So given that this is there by creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot assume complete, they said what? Complete ease, meaning that there's no trials and tribulations. It will be there by definition. But in all of these aspects, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the other verse says what? فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. That with every hardship, that there's ease. Okay, let me give you another one that we want you to contemplate about here for a second. The word ma'a is with. With. Can I have 2 different concepts? Let's say dryness and wetness. Something is dry and wet. Can it be dry and wet at the same time? I know I'm giving you some intellectual stuff in the morning, right? I want you to use your mind a little bit. Can something be black and white at the same time? Can something be dry and wet at the same time? No. Can be something hard and easy at the same time? They are opposite concepts. Ease and hardship are opposites. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse says what? فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With hardship, there is ease. And this is a metaphor to tell us, even these are 2 opposites, it's so quick that you're going to have this hardship, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to get the ease, that as if they are together. Even though conceptually you understand there's no way, it's impossible. That means it has to be hardship first, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eases it. But the verse does give us this beautiful way of saying, it's right there immediately. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeats it again. He says, إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Indeed, with every hardship, that there's going to be ease. So what we learned so far is what? There's no easy way out that is like no action. There's going to be some action. Number 2, following the Sharia is the easiest way, the easiest path. Because this is thereby, definition Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it the easiest way for us. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. I love this verse. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. The one who has created is the one who knows best what is easier and best for us. So we follow this. Okay? Number 3, there is no hardship or difficulty except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us to ease it afterwards. To the extent that they're almost synonymous together. They're almost always together. And not only that, but the verse came twice to prove this concept or to make this a foundational idea in our mind. The ease is going to come right away. Inshallah. Last thing, but not the least. How do you go about this, achieving this or getting this ease? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also made reasons for this ease. Among them in Surah Talaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said what? وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Whoever fears Allah, whoever has consciousness of Allah, taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a way out for them. Right there, the verse afterwards says what? وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ يُسْرًا. And whoever perhaps has this fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has taqwa of Allah, has consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eases their affairs, makes from their affairs ease. So the first thing we learn what? For us to have this ease, we have yusr, you have to have taqwa. You and I, we have to have taqwa. That's one. Okay? 2, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Surah Al-Layl, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. Whoever gives for the sake of Allah, وَالْأَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى, there's taqwa as well. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. So they say, the scholars say, part of the ease that you can get is the sadaqah that you give out. Paying for or giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's another cause of things to be easy, inshallah, for us. Last but not least, we always talk about it because we all pass through some kind of hardships in our lives or in the community or in the whole society around us, as we can see with brothers or sisters in Gaza and Palestine, and just the general hardship that you and I might be passing by. Just all of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what? أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. Who is the one that answers the call and the prayer of those who are in hardship? There are ones who are in difficulty, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the third thing that we always need to keep in mind is, for us to obtain this ease, we need to always go back to Allah with dua. And I said, I am sitting here, inshallah I'm recorded, 110% guaranteed Allah hears you. Allah hears your dua. No doubt whatsoever. We do not want to sometimes, we say, accelerate. They say, oh Allah, I want it right now. Because sometimes when we ask for this dua, as a matter of fact, you and I might not know, but we might be asking for something that is actually harmful for us. وَيَدْعُ الْإِنسَانُ بِالشَّرِّ دُعَاءَهُ بِالْخَيْرِ. Sometimes we make dua thinking that it's good for us, but actually we're asking for something that's detrimental for us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not answering the dua the way we want it. I'm going to highlight this word, the way we want it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not answering the dua the way we want it is better for us. But know that He always answers. But the way He wants it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in every difficulty, inshallah, we will go return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, raising our hands, asking Him to ease all of our difficulties. Whoever is sick, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may alleviate this, make them inshallah wholesome and come back to their families all cured and healthy. However, for us, those of us who are passing through some financial difficulty, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ease their financial difficulty, to give them sustenance from His own sustenance, ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that makes none of us here that has any difficulties except it's alleviated before this end of the month. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove on us the hardest difficulty, which is the difficulty of Yawm al-Qiyamah, that we go into Yawm al-Qiyamah, we go to Jannah, following the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, and we make after this no difficulty whatsoever. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم.